Welcome back to the show. My guest today is Nick Allen. Nick spent 8 years in the U.S. Army, Green Beret, and now is an ambassador for the Green Beret Foundation, all of which we will get into and much, much more, and also the owner of a prestigious collection of adult beverages behind him. So, Nick, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, it really is an honor. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man, and I appreciate you reaching back out. Nick and I tried to, with fits and starts over the last year, to link up, and even through some technological difficulty, and finally made it. So I'm glad we did this, dude. So all right, cool. Let's get right into it. A little bit about where you're from and why the Army.
So I grew up in northern Illinois on a farm, pretty normal upbringing, out in the middle of kind of nowhere. It's all houses and subdivision now, but it was the middle of nowhere when I was born. Grew up Midwest, great parents, great family, and I got into construction when I was, I think, 12, and started working construction. 2008, 2009, the market collapsed. Mm-hmm. Construction severely dropped off after that. Building houses, even subdivisions where I used to live, the subdivision was half finished. It just got finished a couple of years ago. So
yep, I remember.
Got into bartending at a bowling alley, and that bowling alley had two bars attached to it, a nightclub and an Irish bar. So I got into bartending, and when you're living that life, you kind of get burnt out pretty quick, or you settle into it for forever. I got burnt out on that, and one day I just said, "Yeah, I'm gonna join the Army."
What year is it? What year time frame is this? 2009, 10?
This is 2010. This is 2010.
Okay, all right.
So 2010, I actually walked into the Marine recruiter and the Army. They shared a wall. Walked in, said, "Yeah, man, this seems like the hardest." You guys got they had the best advertising.
For sure.
Their marketing budget is much bigger than the Army's. I'm convinced. They got billboards on the side of the road. How great it would be to be a Marine. I walk in there and they go, "Yeah, you're everything we want, but you got tattoos, so get the fuck out."
At that time, still, really?
Yeah, I got one that comes just above the collar on the back of my neck, and they said nope. And so I walked out the door into the Army recruiter, and hey, I said, "Those guys won't take me. What's the hardest thing you guys got?" And what they said, 18 X-ray program, and I failed their colorblind test, their little dot test.
Okay.
I think it was MEPS or something like that, and they said, "Well, you can't do that. You're going to have to get into the regular Army." I believe this is how it goes. This might just be a story I'm making up in my head, but I believe this is how it goes. So I took whatever they gave me, and that was field artillery. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's do that. Went to basic in, I think, April of 11. Went through that. Went through AIT. Was all excited to go somewhere cool. Basic was at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. If you ever get the chance, go somewhere else.
Yep.
But and I was all excited. I finished the top of my class twice, and I was, I'm going to get to go somewhere cool. And they're reading out the assignments, and they said, "Well, Nick Ward, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Great. I got to get out of here." So I get to my unit, and Sergeant Major's out there in white Oakleys. Just, you're pushed regulations from day one in basic and AIT, and I get to my unit, and Sergeant Major's out there, just no discipline, no regulation. So this is not what I thought I was going to be. And I was at selection 90 days later.
Okay. So let me just go back just a little bit. Basic AIT, any experiences, co-boots, drill instructors, anything that sticks out to you in that time, funny or otherwise? Doesn't even have to be inspirational, just anything.
Yeah, the one thing that has continued to stick out to me was my drill sergeant. Infantry guy, joined when he was, I think, 18. He's got all the stuff on his chest, and they're asking, "Where'd you get this one from? Where'd you get that from?" We became friends. We're still friends. And halfway through, he goes, "You're not going to like the regular Army. You need to go he said, you're not going to like field artillery, and you wouldn't even like infantry. You need to go to a higher unit or something like that. And that always stuck with me. Those, and he was right as soon as I got to my unit. But I mean, basically, I don't even remember all that. It's such a shock to your system. Even the course, you go through all these schools and you think back and stuff will pop in your head. But basic was, you're up, you're down, you're sleeping, you're hungry. And I was trying I was just focused on being the best I could when I was there. And I did that, but I don't remember any of that stuff. That's why I tell people, which we couldn't do, take your phone out of your pocket and take a picture so you remember it. You've got a supercomputer in your pocket and we don't take pictures. I wish I had something from back then.
Right. How was your family, parents about the whole decision? What do they think about it?
Oh, very supportive. I mean, my parents were very proud of me. And I guess, you're on a track, and though they pushed me, they always supported whatever I wanted to do. And they knew that if I went into it, I'd do it as good as I could.
Yep. So. Right on. All right, so you said you're from making that decision to selection was pretty quick. So talk us through that process real quick. Like when you knew you wanted to go, because in the Army you've got to do there's some steps between regular Army and Green Beret, correct? So talk us through that whole process.
Yeah, I was at the unit, and our Fort Sill's not a hub for recruiting Green Berets. So the recruiter was based in up in Kansas at First Ideas, Kansas, and he would cycle down once a month and have a briefing. There'd be, I think, flyers or something on post. It's going to be at the library or whatever the education center was. And so I go to the meeting, and really all you had to do was just sign your name up. And these guys had immense power. I mean, they could get you out. You're going. If all you got to do is turn in a passing PT card. And I hand it to him, and, whatever. He's like, yeah, it doesn't. As long as you're passing, you're gonna go. Mm-hmm. And when you get there, you realize everybody does go, because 20% of the class fails on the PT test. You got to do is sign your name, and you're going. But yeah, I was at my unit. I signed up, did his PT test, passed that, and went to selection. First time didn't go so well. Twisted my knee so bad I couldn't bend my leg, and I got med dropped with a week to go. I think it was 3 weeks at the time the class was. So
where was that? What was that selection course?
Selection's at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
In North Carolina, okay.
And then you go into Fort Bragg, you in process for a day, and then you go out to Camp McCall. Camp McCall's west, about 45 minutes west of actually, I don't think it's Fort Bragg anymore. What is it? Fort Liberty? I think they changed the name 2 months ago.
One of the wasn't politically correct enough now. Okay, gotcha.
Liberty? They couldn't come up with anything better than Liberty?
I mean, that's what happens when it becomes saccharine, that's kind of like Liberty. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I didn't even.
It's the home of special operations. We couldn't come up with anything other than Liberty. Airborne, the home of Airborne. There's the street names. You could have just walked down. Oh, look at this street name. Let's call it this. Yeah.
They might dig up something offensive somewhere down if they actually name it after somebody. So I guess now it's kind of saccharine names and.
Oh God,
anyway.
yeah. Well, he used to have
Right.
They'll find something to complain about.
Right.
But
he took a leak.
Yeah.
I took a leak on the side of the road one night, and there we go. Yep.
Well, now at the age of cameras on the phone, somebody will somehow come up with a video of and where there weren't even cameras back when they were alive, but they'll have a video of him doing something terrible, or her.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you got there. So Camp McCall.
Get to Camp McCall, and that's a shock. I went in January, and shit, there had to be 400 or 500 people there, and I'm at the end of the alphabet. My last name's Ward. I just on
Right.
just there on Instagram. I pick something and that's what you go with. But
That's what
I'm at the end of the alphabet. I'm in the 400s, 450s or something like that. And we take the PT test. 20% of the class fails immediately. But you go through. I made it all the way through land nav, and I just couldn't bend my leg anymore. But I went back. So there's a break in the summer. There's only 10. I think it was at the time there was 10 selections a year, and they would take the 2 hottest months of the year off. So I went to the one in September. Went back in September. It was the soonest I could get back, where I felt like I was going to do well. And smoked it. I was like I was cheating. I knew everything that was going to happen, which it was a great benefit. And I had 9 more months in the regular Army to learn stuff, and I was a lot more composed, not just rushing into things. And I spent another 1.5 years at my unit, doing boards. Like everybody thought, this guy's, it's great. We're going to send him to the Soldier of the whatever board, Soldier of the Year, and everything on post. And luckily I ended up losing the post Soldier of the Year, because they would have canceled my orders to the course if I would have won that, because you have to keep going if you win. Oh. And maybe that's why I lost that post Soldier of the Year, because I didn't want to go, because the guy that won, he ended up getting his orders canceled, and he had to keep going to the next one. He wasn't able to go to his next unit. So maybe it worked out for the best, I guess.
I was going to say, don't stick your head out too far, right? And then you
I was all about, I'm all about doing my best and things, but oof, God.
Yeah, so. It sounds like you ended up where you wanted to be anyway, so that's good, regardless of soldier of the post or whatever.
And I actually never thought about it this way. They actually changed the rules because it was a post Soldier of the Quarter, and I had one. That's how you get to the year, is you have to win one of the quarters. And I won one of the quarters, and I won it by such a big margins, because they had it like 2 or 3 weeks after selection, and I was peaking. Peak physical, everything. My knowledge, my everything was right there, and they had a score sheets. But you could get bonus points in land nav if you scored time under everybody else. Well, I did the land nav course in like an hour, and you had 4 hours. So I accrued so many bonus points. I went into the final day, and I had won. Mm-hmm. But they eliminated all those bonus points in the Soldier of the Year competition, because I had beaten them so badly. And that's why the one sergeant major, he said that's why he didn't win. It's because they got rid of that. But it all worked out. Here we are talking.
Here we are
talking in the basement.
We all end up in the basement. Yeah. All right. So now you go back to selection the second time, make it through. What's next for you there?
So I got selected in September of, I think it was the day before my birthday, September of 2012. Yeah, okay. Of 2012. And you go back to your unit, and so you have to go to airborne. I wasn't airborne qualified at the time, so I had to go to airborne school. My unit came down on orders. Luckily, I got selected. My unit came down on orders to go to a combat deployment to Dubai or something like that. Okay. They sat just out. They said they could see the Burj Khalifa off in the distance. They were really some weird mission, but whatever. They did that. I stayed on rear detachment. I didn't deploy with them, and then finally, when they were getting back, I went to airborne school, PCS'd, permanent change of station, over to Fort Bragg and started the course. And that was it was difficult, but it was just a blur.
Right. Jumping out of planes wasn't too daunting for you?
Yeah. It was when I got on the plane. Yeah. And then, and this happens all the time. The wind's kicked up, and so we're just circling. We're just racetracking. And I'm like, I'm getting sick. Right. I got to get off this. I was kind of nervous about jumping out the door, But then I started to feel like I got to get off this plane.
Right.
I got to get off here. So fine, we're stand up, and I, let me out of here.
Yeah, right.
And I handed off and ran out the door. And no, it wasn't. I hit like a ton of bricks coming down, knocked my head, which that's why I'm here talking to you, is blows to the head. No, that wasn't jumping out of plane. Whatever. It's fun. It's fun when you're up there. It's fun, but there's so much lead up that's not fun, and there's so much afterwards that's not fun. That was a good time. Right. But yeah, I did enjoy jumping, but it wasn't something that, cause some people stand in the door and they get kicked out the door.
Yeah. Okay, so, and I think, what is it still something you have to have 5 jumps, you qualify? Is it something like that, or I don't remember exactly? But
5 jumps from a high performance aircraft, or
there we go.
Whatever they're saying was. What is
okay.
It? Yeah, it was.
All right.
Yeah, we did 5. Come back and then move to North Carolina after that, because the airborne school's at Fort Benning, and then you got to go to Bragg and in process there, and then you haven't even done anything. You haven't even started, so you're just airborne qualified. You haven't even started. But if you fail out of one of the reasons, I think, you fail out of the course, you're going to the 82nd, and you're just they're feeding soldiers that didn't make it into the 82nd, so you can go to the airborne. So I would have gone to 18th Fires if I would have failed out and been in the airborne field artillery, which never know how that would have been.
Another one of those divergence points in the road, and you diverge, and you got, and there you go. You're in it up. What was going to be okay? So, because you have, is it four designations within the Green Berets, like the 18 what I can't remember exactly the designations, but what were your? This is obviously later on, but what do you do after that? You get back to Bragg. What happens then?
So we got to Bragg, move in, start the course. There's different classes you got to do that don't determine your MOS or your job. That comes kind of towards the second, or in the second half.
Okay.
You'll go through introduction to unconventional warfare as a class. You'll have to do land nav again. We had to do small unit tactics, which is like an infantry school. Working, I think we had 18 guys on our team, but you're out there with a couple hundred guys who are broken into smaller teams. And you're getting evaluated this whole time. And then you go to SEER, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. Yep. That was something else.
Right.
Yeah. The guys would say, that's the best course in the Army. Yeah, when you're done.
Right.
That's it, yeah. Talk about a blur. You're up for 3-4 days and just miserable. And looking back now, it seemed like a couple minutes. But you didn't, yeah. But all that, and then you get to your job. So yeah, as you said, there are four MOSs, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. So Bravo's a weapons sergeant, Charlie's an engineer, Delta's a medic, and Echo is a commo guy.
Okay.
And all have their difficulties to them. I went through 18 Charlie, so going through the course, my background was in construction, so it just kind of fit. And it even ended up working out as when I went in the Charlie course, I was they're like, oh, who knows about construction and all this, and everybody points at me. I guess, well, I'm screwed.
Yeah, there you go.
But you're the class leader. It's like, thanks, guys. Right under the bus. There's no. So
what's that? Sometimes you choose your rabbi, and sometimes your rabbi chooses you. You sounds like you were. It was that die was cast, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nobody wanted it on them, so good. Right. We'll have Nick do it, but did that. Made a lot of friends. Wish I would have taken my cell phone out of my pocket more and taken pictures with the guys, because now I think back and go, oh, man, it'd be great to know who those guys are.
Right.
And you forget those memories, and even now thinking about it, going, man, I really wish I could call. Now I don't remember his name.
Right.
So,
Right.
But the Charlie course was fun. And Delta's the medic. They said that's the hardest MOS to have, and I think in the Army it's just so. At the time, I was anything but 18 Delta, and I was worried that I was going to get that because I had such a strong background in construction, and the medical field or whatever just did not. It was everything I didn't want to do. But props to the guys who did do it. I mean, one of my best friend, John, he just reclassed from weapons sergeant to an 18 Delta, and I'm so proud, so proud of him. Like, unbelievable, something like everybody's, you look up to somebody and what they've done. That's something I would do almost anything to go back in and be back in the unit, and I wouldn't do that.
Right.
It's like good for him, man.
Yeah,
but yeah. Course was tough. It flew while you're in it. It sucks, and it's a grind. But now that I'm out, it seemed like a couple minutes.
Right. All right. So you get out, you get your MOS. What's your first stop? What happens then?
My first stop was my last stop. Kind of a abrupt end to my career. So you have the ceremony, you put on your Green Beret, you graduate, best day of your life, and then you get to go be the new guy at the unit, and that's what I did. So we moved out to Fort Lewis, Washington, just south of Seattle.
Yep.
Got to my team, strong. I thought I was top of my game. You get there, everybody's a Green Beret, and they got way more experience than you.
Yep.
And you realize, I don't know anything.
Right.
It was the same as coming out of basic training, getting your unit. I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
And I think some of that not knowing what's going on, contributed to what happened after that, going to my team and getting hurt. And now, I got hurt on our first training exercise with the team. The first thing I ever did, really training as a Green Beret, I got hurt, and that ended my career.
Wow. Talk about it. Tell me about it.
So I get to Fort Lewis, in process, get to my team, and get assigned to 1335. 1335 is our team designation. First group, 3rd Battalion, so 133, and then another 3 for Charlie. So Charlie Company. And then 5 was your team number. There's 6 teams in a company, and then a B team. So 5 is usually the dive team, in a special forces company. And I've hated water my entire life, and so luckily I got assigned to that team, and now I really hate the water. Even to the point of the owner of the company I work for brought his Zodiac in. He's got a fancy Zodiac with a big engine, and he brought one in, and I'm out there, and I was like next to it. He's like, "You all right?" I was like, "I hate these things," and I could, I've having thinking about that day, and I said, "I really hate this boat." He goes, "What? That's not very nice." I was like, "Oh, it's not."
Yeah.
And I told him the story. He goes, "Oh, I can understand that." So, first training event was, I think it was in April of 2015. We go out on the ocean, and we were a very junior team, very inexperienced. There was a couple experienced guys that had experience on the ocean, but brand new captain. 4 guys on the team, two guys on the team. We had just gotten there a couple months before, and a few guys that had only been there a few months before that. So we're breaking waves and everything out in the surf. And where were we? Astoria, Oregon. Mm-hmm. Very rough.
Yep.
Whatever. So we've got this training plan we're going to do. We're going to go over the horizon, come in. We're going to do a BLS training, beach landing seizure, I think it stands for. Don't know. I'm sure somebody will point out if I'm wrong. Yep. But we're training and during the day and working it out. So we put together, we're going to go out, kick out rescue swimmers, and they're going to swim to shore and then signal us to come in. So our boat had 5 guys in it, which wasn't enough. Our boat became very light when we kicked out the rescue swimmers. Our engine was underpowered, and there was a storm offshore that was making the waves extremely high.
Yeah,
they were probably two times higher than we thought they were going to be. So our risk assessment said we're going to be out in 3 to 6 foot waves or something like that. Well, we were in waves longer than the Zodiac, because when we went up when I got hurt, there was water in front of the boat and there was water behind the boat, and we were almost vertical. So we went up, we kicked the rescue swimmers out, we turned and right up the face of this wave, and I went straight up in the air and came back down and on my face knocked myself out. And so that's concussion 1. Only much later I realized, and this was, after feeling better, I realized that, so when we did flip over, the engine came off, and it's on a wire. It's tied to the transom, and I was the only one strong enough to grab this wire and pull the engine out of the water and put it back on. So I grabbed the engine and I set it back on, and as I set it on, it's not screwed down now. Another wave comes and lifts that engine back into my face, and that was concussion 2. So I'm cooked. We tumbled all the way to shore, another hour and a half until we got to shore. Terrible experience. Really wish that wouldn't have happened, but yeah, we get to shore. Medic grabs me as I was acting odd, was saying some weird stuff, and grabs me and goes, "I think you've got a concussion." And they took me to the hospital, brought me back. So I've got 2 concussions in close proximity, which is really bad for your health. I don't know if you've ever get the chance to do that. Don't
Nope.
do that.
Nope.
On top of it, I have a history of concussions, many of them in my life, and those 2 really set things off. Chronic pain in my head and neck after that. So they take me to the hospital, bring me back, and we don't stop training. There's no incident report sent out, no SIR, serious incident report set up. They don't stop training. They just keep me kind of toting me around. And I think it was the next day we go get, I remember, Taco Bell had just come out with their breakfast, and that was the closest place to get food. So they, like, "Yeah, you want to come?" And I said, yeah, let's go. Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. So get in the van, and I grab the oh shit handle, and for some reason or another, maybe my hand-eye coordination, that was probably why, it's my hand-eye coordination, I just pulled the door frame into my head.
Oof.
Let go, and then bounced my head off the concrete when I fell backwards. So that's concussion 3. At that point, nobody saw that. They thought I just kind of, so they put me in the van. We go to Taco Bell, and my buddy says, "Yeah, you ordered?" And then there was a real awkward pause, and then you ordered the same stuff again. And so I have a big bag of food, and I'm back at the barracks, and I start throwing up. And that's when they kind of started taking it seriously. And it's like, back to the hospital, no brain bleeds or anything like that. But I had no idea what was going on. Took me home. I didn't get out of bed for 30, 45 days, something like that. I was in bad shape. And that was, and I'm thinking back, I mean, I'd been knocked out at basic a couple of years before, I'd been knocked out at selection. I've had many small concussions or big concussions that I just ignored. And this all brought it to a head. I mean, shooting pain through my head, which is luckily started to go away. Brain will heal itself, but that started to go away. I did a TEDx talk years ago, and I said, whoever went out on the ocean didn't come back.
Right.
And that was kind of unfortunate.
Right. Okay. So, and you said this is 2000, what 15?
15 now. Yeah. 15.
Okay.
Spring of 15.
So, and you had been in total, how long had you been in at that time? You said like, this is 5-6 years?
That's 4 years. 4 years. This is right in the middle.
Okay.
Cause it was 15. I mean, I got out at the beginning of 15, I got out at the end of 18. So when I got hurt, when I hit my head on that boat, TikTok, my career was on, that was the peak. I was on the way out.
Yeah.
Luckily, we came down on orders for Korea, which is a non-combat deployment, and me being on permanent profile, I was able to go. And then great trip, figuring stuff out, learned a lot. I was on the B team, on staff. I learned more about how things work on staff and understanding needs and things like that. And we got back, and I'm at sick call, and one of my friends sits down. He says, "Yeah, we're going to Korea." And I just gotten back. I said, "Oh yeah, I just signed up for all the equipment to the National Guard unit." He says, "Oh, we're taking over for him." And I kind of thought about it, and I went to my appointment, and I walked into Sergeant Major's office. I said, "Hey, can I go back to Korea?" Mm-hmm. And he says, "It's funny you came in, because the Sergeant Major just was asking for somebody to go early." Mm-hmm. He was on if they had any guys, so they kind of ignored my home, because you're supposed to be home and away an equal number of which they ignored that. And I left a couple months later back to Korea and signed for all the same gear that I had just signed it over to. Probably the coolest thing I did in my career. I was able. I mean, it might not be a big thing to some guys, or especially like an officer, but I mean, I had assumption of command. I could sign as a staff sergeant. I could sign things, and I was something I'm really proud of, and that I really wouldn't have gotten to do had I not been hurt like I was, and had my buddy not sat down across from me at sick call and told me he's going to Korea. I might not have ever had that opportunity. So I'm really proud of that. And I never had any soldiers in the regular Army or in group that I was directly responsible for, except for that second trip to Korea. I had 4 soldiers, and I'm so proud of them. They've all gone on to be very successful, and that means a lot to me, that they're all doing very well. One was he was a sergeant. He's an officer now. One's a border patrol agent, and he's doing great. One of the other soldiers, I think she's a staff sergeant now. They've had a baby. I'm just so proud of them. Mm-hmm. That in my career is probably the single greatest thing I'm proud of, is getting to do that trip and having them be more successful later on. Nice.
Yeah, that is the ultimate measure of success anyway. If you have an effect on anybody, that is in whatever endeavor you do.
And I like I said, take your phone out of your pocket. I'll just message them once in a while. We're in a little group chat, and we don't really keep up with it, but I'll just message them. Hey, I'm really proud of you guys. You guys are I just want to let you know I'm not in anymore, and I'm really proud of you guys. So yeah, I think that's important as a leader, because what did I say? The manager's job is not to. Your people don't work for you. You work for them.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that hasn't changed getting out. I mean, I feel, responsible, as we all do. Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
It's never over.
No, it shouldn't be. No doubt. And I coached basketball for 10 years, 11 years, whatever, and I don't do it anymore, but still keep up with those kids, and it doesn't stop being important to you just because you're not doing it anymore. So I understand that sentiment, at least, not if not specifics.
And I exactly. And I got my notes. You know, I got this from another podcast. You know, I got my notes. I got my notes here. But I'm working on a little project of mine just to get me more practice in front of the camera. It's just it's just 2 minute videos and things like that. And I'm working on it. But you know, the first one is people look up to me when I was in the service, and that didn't stop when I got out. They still look up to me. I'm still an example, and I have a responsibility to be that example. You know, Master Sergeant, I think Master Sergeant Alvarez said when he went to Ranger School at 42 years old, I believe it was 42 years old, 20 years in the service, he went to Ranger School and passed, and obviously, and come back, and why did you go? Well, I'm a Green Beret, and you earn your Green Beret every day, and that hasn't changed since I got out. The way I've gone about life has changed, and how I deal with things, being angry. But that's lately what I've been getting into is I have a responsibility, we all do, to the people, not the ones that we know, to ones we know, but there are people that we don't know that look up to us, that hold us in high esteem, and we need to be the best that we can be for somebody that they could be going through a tough time, the same as we are, and you might get them through that. You might be that example. So
right. Tell me about Korea. What did you like about it? Did you guys work? You obviously trained with partner forces there. Like, talks about some impressions there.
I love Korea. I mean, they've got the public transportation figured out there. You're sitting down, and we were in Daegu. It's probably, what is it, 400 or 500 miles. I'm just estimating 400 or 500 miles from Seoul, the capital. It might be less, but you could be on your bunk in Daegu and go, yeah, I want to go party in Seoul, or I want to go out or get some food, and you could be there in 2.5 hours.
Yep.
Just get on the bullet train. But yeah, I really liked it there. I met my wife, and she's from South Africa, and we're just finishing up her. If you ever get the chance to immigrate to the United States legally, go somewhere else.
Dude, you got to tell me. I know.
Because it is difficult.
Yep.
It is difficult.
It is
to do exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
And so she just finished that up. She's being recommended for approval to be a U.S. citizen. We got a vacation coming up, but she'll have her ceremony after that.
Nice. Nice.
I'm big on the 4th of July, but we're gonna have a party.
That's right, bro. That's right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger dressed up in all American flags party.
Yeah,
so
right. Good. Congrats, man. That's good news, bro. I've had a couple family members go through that process. Yeah. So
it's a long and difficult process, but the one thing I did learn from it is people say, call your congressman. You ever heard people say that? Of
course.
That shit works.
It does.
You call them, and then shit gets done because they want your vote.
Yep.
And I'll never. I mean, we called our congressman, got to his assistant, his right hand person, and yeah, she got on the phone with me just like we're talking now. She says, "Oh yeah. No, I completely understand. I'm going to email you a form. Just sign it. Oh, do I need to fill it out? No, just sign it." And sent it back, and yeah, things get moving when you do that. I guess that's the cheat code for life.
Be proactive, man. Well, people, we all it's very easy for all of us to complain about how our system doesn't work well, and in a lot of ways, of course, it doesn't. But it's also a tiny percentage of people that actually take the step to reach out to the representative. So they do pay attention if you're persistent. So they do. It's like I've seen that in my own life too. So.
Yeah, they're always on the campaign trail. Senators a little bit less. They got 6 years, but they're always, and if, in this case, it was obvious. Hey, you work for us, and transitioning, moving across the country, and everything. Hey, I got a problem. Oh, let's solve that problem. So
well, good, man. Good. And Yeah, welcome to your wife. That's awesome. So Korea, you went back a second time. Really enjoyed your experience there. What's next after that? Where do you come back to?
Oh, back to the States, back to the unit, and then to staff, battalion staff.
Okay.
So I'm a staff sergeant, E6, and I went on to staff at battalion. And I said, "Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm going on vacation to Africa. I'll be back." So I dipped out again.
Right.
Came back. So I come back and I'm on staff, and they're starting to talk about Afghanistan, and it's like, so I start making deals to permanently go to Korea.
Okay.
To go, because I knew if we came down on orders, I was going to get medically retired. I knew, because I couldn't jump anymore. I couldn't. There was no. I mean, I'm still having pains. I was still, not well, not where I should be. And so I started making some deals to get back to Korea, to permanent change of station, PCS, to Korea, and had everything in place. I thought I had it, and Sergeant Major switched out. We came down on orders on close proximity. Sergeant Major goes, "Yeah, who is this guy?" And he didn't know me, and that was it. We came down on orders for Afghanistan. I was on permanent at that time. I think what did the book say? Deploy or get out. And I was in that small minority of very useful to my unit, but not useful to the Army.
Right.
And that kind of ticked down. They went to Afghanistan without me, and they came back, and I think I got, let's see, October of 2018. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so that decision was kind of made for you, basically, at the end of the day.
Yeah, not the best way to get out. Not. I don't recommend it. It did nothing for my mental health. It did, but it's the best way that things could have happened. So I was recently at San Antonio for a funeral, and I told, he was our battalion surgeon, and he just happened to be down there for a course, and he came to the funeral too. And I said, Doc, there is no words, and you say that there's no words in English, and there's no way to express what happens. This is me saying to somebody who's still in, whether you choose to get out, whether you're forced out, whatever happens, there's no words to describe the hole it will leave in your life at all. There's nothing that a person still in can understand from somebody that's still out. And I think that's the best way to describe it, is whether I'm getting out, anything there, it's something else. It is a complete shell shock. You're going into a world that didn't exist. You're getting out. And that's what happened to me. I was told, you're getting out, and all right, deal with it. So
what's the letdown? What do you think you missed the most? You've referenced it a few times about being someone, look up to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That makes sense. But what you personally, what was the letdown for you? What was the hard transition that first period of time when you're out?
Oh, not putting on the uniform again, even though we didn't wear our uniforms very often. But I just loved being in the Army, and maybe that's rose-colored glasses looking back and thinking about it. But I thought I had gotten to where I wanted to be, Green Beret at my unit, learning as much as I can, and then it was just gone. One day it was gone, and that's a terrible thing. And this happens, you'll see in the news, mental health, guys having problems getting out, suicide. So, I mean, one of my best mates killed himself 45 days ago. Mm-hmm. I did not take that well. And there's, and he was out, a year or 2 years, I think, maybe a little more, but things happened, but I really liked it. I really did. And I just think back to when I was a new soldier and listening to guys that were retiring at 20 years. They said it's the best decision I ever made, and how they spoke about it. And when I was out, I realized that was where I wanted to be. Now, fast forward, here we are. I'm talking to you. I'm booking public speaking engagements. I'm doing as much as I can because I feel like I have a debt. I owe veterans, I owe my family, I owe everybody that I need to still be that person. I need to be the best. Mm-hmm. and do everything. I need to fundraise because I don't have war stories. I never got to go, and I'll never get over that. And I never got to go to the Middle East. I never got to, what I said in my talk, I never got to play chess.
Yeah.
And so I get to, for the rest of my life, wonder if I was any good at playing chess. But what I do have the ability, or what I did gain from it, is I have no holes in me. I never got blown up. I got a little bit of ringing in my ears, but I can stand up, and I can stand up in front of a group of people, and I can talk, and I can say, hey, there's guys that won't do this, that won't stand up in front of people and won't convince you to take the money that's in your wallet and put it in somebody else's wallet.
Right. Well, no, it's just generally overall you're talking about, like I said, and it's very common in a lot of the guys I've talked to. Some of the guys that I went through the little, when I was going into the Marine Corps 20 years ago, that have since gone on to full careers, and talking about that hole and that sense of identity, and also given the tempo, especially with what you did, right? It's right up at the pointy tip of the spear. It's kind of high performance guys and doing something at its highest level. And then all of a sudden a drop off to civilian life. That's going to happen. That's normal. It's expected there's going to be a difficult transition, but maybe even more so in the military, given what the totality of it. It's not like a job you just kind of go to. It is you. So in any event, I understand. I just always like to get the perspective of every guy. Every soldier processes it differently, and that transition point seems to be a real difficult time for anybody. What do I do?
It's a different life. It's a different.
What do I do now? Right.
Yeah, you're completely. It's not even the same reality.
Right. Because it's not just like switching jobs. And it's not like going to work from Costco to Best Buy, or whatever. It's a total different life. So.
No, it's a completely different. I'm in sales now, but you're just I was a Green Beret. People were soldiers. People were infantry, medics, whatever. Every job, the whole all encompassing in the service. I don't know. It's tough to describe to civilians. It's tough to describe to anybody. But it is nice being around veterans because they know. They know, and you don't really have to explain it. But when I want to sell myself and when I want to speak, I have to put it into words.
Yep.
Just like on here today, I have to put this into something that people want to listen to.
Right.
Because if the people don't find me interesting, then it's not going to work for me.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, and also as you referenced before, man, at the end of the day, these things are important, and that leads us to Green Beret Foundation, et cetera, because there are still. There's people that need help. And I always say with this whole entire show, if you can reach one dude that's going through some shit, then it's all worth it. Right. So maybe that's what you can do. You know what I mean? Is hit one dude who thinks like, oh man, I must be the only one going through it, or I'm having trouble, period. I'm in a hole, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I figure with this whole endeavor, man. Cause I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm not signing $60 million Spotify deals. So,
Yeah. Well, that's him. Good. And I'll go completely different here. I reference, in this case, Grant Cardone. Have you heard of Grant Cardone?
I haven't, no.
Very, very successful businessman. And he said his biggest failure in life was setting his goals too small. And so when you say, you're one person, so that's nice. Why can't I help everybody?
Yeah.
Right. Why can't I help everybody that listens to me? Everybody that hears my voice, I have the chance to impact. So, yeah, I can help one person, but what if I can help everybody with something? If they take away something, you've changed somebody's life a little bit. And every interaction that we have with people, just like this is your platform, this is your way to have guys on and get message out. And it's a way for you to be around other veterans, active duty and veterans, and it's helping you. So, selflessness, what is that I hear from Rick and Morty the other day? Oh, shameless plug for Rick and Morty. Selflessness and selfishness are two sides to the same coin. I want to help people and fundraise and help, even being here, helping you, because it helps me.
No doubt.
And then that's a therapy in itself. And going back to I don't have to be the best every day. I don't, like you said, you're not Joe Rogan. I'm not, who's a great speaker? I'm not Barack Obama.
Right.
I'm not that great orator, but I could be. Right. So, and that's doing the best for me. Jordan Peterson, one of his rules, 12 rules for life. I think it's the first 12. Great book if you ever get the chance. 12 rules for life.
Hell yeah.
He said, don't compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today.
Right.
And I mean, I've read 12 Rules for Life, I think 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
And every time I go, yeah,
you get something useful out of it every time.
Yeah, and even you mentioned Jocko earlier. I've read Extreme Ownership 8 times.
Wow.
And every time, because he'll say in his it's difficult. It's difficult to have accountability, to continue this lifestyle. It's difficult getting out of bed in the morning and going to the gym, dragging your ass out of bed when it's nice and warm. Yep. But get your feet on the floor, get in the gym, get to work, and work on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's, first off, that's the best thing I gained from stopped listening to music. In the car, I listen to audiobooks and podcasts now. And that's the best thing I gained is, and another one, Grant Cardone, turn your car into a university. I got 40-minute drive to work, 40-minute drive back. And somebody said to me one day, so what do you do while you're driving? Well, I listen to music. And so you listen to the same songs you've heard over and over and over again and don't learn anything? Done listening to music.
Right. I get
that's for the gym.
Yeah, that's for the gym. So okay, so let's go real quick back to the period post 18. You get post separation, you get out, and up until now, and how you get involved with the Green Beret Foundation. Talk a bit about your valleys and kind of what led you back to getting involved with the foundation, and kind of what recently, because you and I kind of lost touch as well, man. So until recently, so talk about it a little bit, man.
I got out, and all right. So there's good in every bad situation. There's something good that came of it, and it led to where I'm at now. I came out here for a job that didn't really exist. I showed up first day, and I called my wife, and I said, something's wrong. This is not what we were led to believe. I stayed there 18 months, one day, COVID. I was laid off during COVID. And just sitting. So, yeah, it'll be a Netflix documentary, this place that I went and worked for someday. And I mean, even Joe Rogan has talked about that company on his podcast. Like it was so weird. It was so weird. And people that know me are going to laugh at me saying that, but there was good that came of it. Mm-hmm. And one project I did while I worked there was to set up a vehicle purchase. And I set up a vehicle purchase, and I was given pretty, okay, we need this many vehicles. Okay, let me go. So I went to dealerships. I don't know. I mean, I know what a nice vehicle is. And I said, what's our, project management, time, scope, and budget. Where are we at here? Budget, they had no idea. Well, we want to spend $0, but we understand that that's not possible. Okay, so, but you want nice vehicles. And when do we want to buy it? This, that, and the other. So I set everything up. I put together a presentation. Okay, here's our 3 options. But prior to that, one dealership totally blew me off. They didn't send me pricing on what I asked for, which is fine. Now, having worked in the industry, I know why, because they didn't want to be part of it. It's kind of dumb. But so they blew, and I had to give this presentation. So I'm driving down the highway and I see a billboard for Lynch Kenosha, Lynch Motor Vehicle Group. And so I just exit and go in. I said, hey, I want to buy these things. I need a price on these things. Well, we don't really do that here. So you need to go see John over in the city there. Okay, yeah, show me how to get there. Perfect. Put it in the car, drove over there. John ended up being my boss another year later or so, maybe a year and a half, something like that. But we had a good interaction, and we bought the vehicles. I worked at that company for another year, get laid off for COVID. I'm sitting outside, and I was heavy drinking at that, COVID, there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. And I was upset, still upset. I mean, I still am about getting out of the military. And I'm sitting outside. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm not going to be on workman's, what is it called? Unemployment.
Unemployment, yeah.
Forever. I have my stipend for my disability. But yeah, I'm not going to live like that. I've got the house. I've got a family and this dog. But I call up John and said, hey, how much for just give me a rough estimate, truck and a trailer. So construction background. I'm going to start my own company. And he goes, yeah, well, you're looking at this and then that, and there's a lot more things to consider. So we started talking about it. I was like, hey, don't you have a bad back? I was like, yeah, it does hurt when I, do anything. He goes, yeah, what, have you ever thought about selling trucks? I said, nope.
Yeah.
Immediately in my head, I went, greasy to that plate everybody goes to, selling
used car salesman type
used
thing.
Car salesman. And I said, no. Well, why don't you come in for an interview tomorrow? Whatever. I don't know if it was tomorrow or whatever. He said, fill this out on our website and I'll get you scheduled and come in. They sold me on it. They sold me on going into sales. I said, okay, yeah, we'll give it a shot. And now I'm here. I like a fish in water, selling vehicles, talking. I know a lot about the trades, so it was just easy. I know what vehicles guys need and things like that. So it was just that. Do I want to sell vehicles forever? I don't know. This job has really, and I said it. I told John, I was like, "You saved my life, man. You gave me an opportunity when you didn't have to. You didn't have to do any of that, but just because." And that's another thing that I say to people. This was a benign interaction. I just bought, the company I worked for bought 5 vehicles from him on my word that this is the place we need to do it from. And he, when I called him, it's like, it didn't have to do any of that. Didn't have to, the same way, people don't have to do anything. Well, he saved my life. He really did. I was in a bad place and got me in there, and I've had my ups and downs while being there, but he really did, and he hired me, and I did that, and a little off track there, but
no, that's fine. That's fine.
I mean, I like to tell people what they've done for me, and it's important. I think it's important because it just shows, it's not all bad. Not everything's bad. The news or people, turn your television off and go talk to your neighbors.
Most things aren't bad when you do what you just said. When you get off
Yeah.
the social media, when you get off the TV and you stop paying attention to that and you just go out and interact with people, most people are just, and I find anyway, most people are just trying to get on with their lives and do the same thing you are, right? And raise their family. And as I heard somebody say, nobody cares about you really. You know what I mean? The average person that you think is having it in their mind, nobody really cares about you. They're just all trying to get on with their lives as well. And I think most people, in my interactions with people, if you take that view, going back to Jordan Peterson, assume that anybody you're talking to has probably something useful to teach you, and
something you don't.
Something you don't. And so I keep that in mind sometimes in my own career when I'm dealing with a difficult person, someone's pissing me off, et cetera, and I just say, wait a minute. This person's probably trying to do about what I'm trying to do, which is get through their day, get to their family, take care of their family, and progress in their career. And so yeah, that's good advice generally. And so it's good to give your boss a shout out, man. He threw you a lifeline when you needed one, and even if you didn't know you needed one. So that's great, man.
And like I said, ups and downs, but that really got me in there. I mean, and then you know. Do you watch Rick and Morty?
A long time ago. It's been a long time.
Oh, we'll get with the offline about that. I got some stuff I can send you about that. But, you know, and then the support I get from my spouse, my wife. I mean, it's rough. I'm sometimes not well, and she just sticks by me.
Right.
And just there for me. And it's rough to be with me sometimes, and I say, you know, but I got to hold myself accountable. I got to.
Let me ask you this: Do you still talk to guys that you were in with? Does that help? Does that and what do you suggest to guys in your situation? You know, you may be disconnected. You may feel like lack of purpose, lack of tribe, lack of cohesion in your life, purpose, etc. Do you lean on those guys still? Do you talk about that?
More now. And I say that is, so July 5th, I was at work, and our driver coordinator, and I just made an offhand comment about my uniform. And they asked, said something, and I said, yeah, I only wear that when somebody dies or kills himself. Mm-hmm. And the next day, one of my best mates killed himself. Now more. I said earlier, you have to take your phone out of your pocket and call your buddies, call your friends, call the guys you served with, because it does a lot more than 22 push-ups a day will. I lean on this. I lean on these things, making commitments and going on a podcast like we're here now, booking speaking engagements, fundraising, and that's where I need to be. But first off, you got to get out of bed. You got to get in the gym, but you got to be real with yourself of what's going to help. So I guess, the question, yes, you can't let things get too far off track. And the guys that I served with, that I'm friends with, most of them are out, but they're going through the same stuff I am. You know, everybody's problems are just as important to them as yours are to you. Mm-hmm. And it helps me, and hopefully it helps them. Hopefully it helps you.
That's one of the reasons I do this show, man. Just to, like you said, give guys like yourself it's just a conversation, man. At the end of the day, it's how I look at it, you know. And so if we met each other at the local bar, coffee shop, whatever, we'd sit here and shoot the shit and have this conversation. But because it's an experience that you've had that a lot of Americans have shared, maybe we have it on a little bit larger platform and it reaches some people. So that's the whole reason for it, man.
Yeah.
Talk about the Green Beret Foundation. How'd you get involved? What do you ambassador? What do you talk about that? What are you doing? That's
just me forcing myself to, or finding a way to get back into serving.
Yeah.
It's, I really, and I talked about this in my talk. For 8 years, all I either thought about being, was, and now currently reflect back on being a Green Beret. I was obsessed with it, and like I said, I feel like I have a debt that I owe that I can never repay for the opportunities that whatever. Don't trust the government, but for the regiment, the regiment gave me. My sergeant major, we're still friends, and I feel like I owe him to be. I need to be still great because of the things he did for me and my family. I got a list of people. It's a short list, and it's my head. It's not written down, but I'll get on a plane. And I'll get on a plane and I'll be there, and for whatever you need, and he's one of them. So going back to Green Beret Foundation, I'm an ambassador. I'm very proud of that. And it fits well into sales, raising money, trying to do fundraisers. I mean, to be honest, I don't know what I'm doing, but I didn't know what I was doing when I was a Green Beret. I just figured it out.
So for those that don't, sorry to cut you off. For those that don't know,
Yeah.
what does the foundation do?
So we provide direct support to Green Berets and their family, whether it be casualty support, health and wellness, or family support, and that's a continued support with even Gold Star spouses and things like that, or there's scholarships, there's transition support. If there's charities that are all encompassing, veterans, we're specific to Green Berets. God, it's some ridiculous number of casualties in the last few years. It's up near 50% of casualties in the last 3 years of the war were all special operations or something like that.
Yeah.
I should know these numbers, but
Your point is
usually
taken.
I got it all. It's terrible, and it's terrible when anybody loses their life. And
That's right.
I mean, I'm very connected to it, and like I said, I owe the regiment a lot. And everything, and people are always there for me when I need them. So I need to be there for people that I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it just sounds like. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just think that, like I said, being the example, and being there and showing up, not only today, not only tomorrow, but next year, and putting on these events is very important. And I know I've been in a bad place before, and the guys have been there for me, and there will be guys, our girls, our families that are going to be in that place, and I need to do whatever I can to help, get those resources to them. And that's another reason why I'm here.
Yeah. No, it's a theme running through listening to you talk a little bit about is just that sense of purpose, is just continuing that sense of purpose, and mainly holding yourself accountable too, setting accountability standards for yourself post service. Because when you're in the service, you know what your standards are and you know what your job is. But when you get out, if you don't have that, sometimes that seems like part of a bit of the struggle as well. So being involved with the foundation and having those standards, and then, as you mentioned, being an example still. So it sounds like holding yourself accountable, like us all, but in your case specifically with the foundation and fundraising, et cetera, is important, man.
Purpose. That's it's the big word there. Find your purpose. Find your new chess game.
Yeah, there we go.
If you can, like I said, your life's not going to be this perfect puzzle that everything clicks back together. You're going to it's going to be messed up. Things do get messed up. Yeah. Things don't go how you want it to. But if you're not actively taking the steps, things will fall apart real quick. Yeah. I know they have for me.
Yep.
Like we said, we were supposed to do this a year ago.
Yeah, right. Right.
And I would challenge you to say, let's do it a year from now again and see where we're both at, because you have goals the same as I do. I'm having a golf outing. I'm doing public speaking engagements. I'm trying to learn my way through, you know, asking people to donate to a charity. Well, why should I do this? Well, I told you to. I told you so. No, but yeah, I would say, and I got my notes over here and everything. Show up next year, and that's a real accomplishment. And holding myself and force myself to message you again, even though I was like, I kind of fell off. Just go do the show.
There we go.
Just go do it.
And you see, it's all it takes is just to reach out, man. People will, I've found in this space, man, like I said, it's amazing once you just start to put yourself out there a little bit and do a show, and then people will show up, people will ask, and then, pretty soon you're sitting here, and I haven't been able to do it nearly as much as I want to because of life. Life happens, right? Work, family, the whole bit. But, I took a while off, 4 or 5 months off. And I was like, all right, well, let me just get right back on this horse again, man, and just do another show. And so I wanted to do video, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how it grows, man. Like you said, that's a good rubric, though. And next year, show up next year again.
Show up next year. Show up tomorrow. Yeah. You go to the gym on Monday. I'm good. No, you got to be here tomorrow, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Accountability, purpose, and things like that. And that's pushing myself to do things. So
nice.
And I hope I can inspire somebody and help myself in the process.
Absolutely. Just to reach out. So Green Beret Foundation, any other points of contact that you want to put out there for anybody, whether it's you personally or the Green Beret Foundation? I'll link those obviously, but what else? Anything else?
Yeah, I can send you everything. I mean, I'm not going to spell out a link here, but I'm working on my projects.
Okay.
I've got an idea of fitness, always been into fitness. And, you get into a CrossFit gym or you get into a lifting gym. Hey, what if we did this? And what if we did that? So I'm working on some stuff, and I can get with you offline about that. But main focus is I got a golf outing next July for the Green Beret Foundation. It'll be a first annual. Again, don't know what I'm doing, trying to figure it out. So it's going to be my motor group that I work for, Lynch Motor Vehicle Group. I think we're doing a memorial golf outing in support of Green Beret Foundation.
Nice. And
be first annual. I'm pretty excited about it. It's a beautiful course here in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and called Hawks View.
Nice.
And I'm super. I mean, and that's and that's the thing. Everybody say you fail at things. I failed last year. It was supposed to be 4 weeks ago. The golf outing was supposed to be 4 weeks ago. I just was trying to do everything myself, and it's impossible.
Right.
It's impossible, and I'll say to people, you're getting healthy, getting mental healthy, is a struggle. And I was in a bad place, and then when my friend passed away, I went off the deep end and had to cancel the outing, push it a whole nother year. And that even farther. I don't know when you're in free fall, I don't know if you can go farther off the edge if you're already falling, but it just adds on to it. But asking people for help, saying, hey, I need help. And that leads into, if you're there for people, if you're there for guys or girls or anybody, they'll be there for you.
Yeah. No question.
And if they're not, then they're not your friends.
Hey, man, the guy locally, there's a Green Beret locally here named Matt Pesh who started this operational athlete is his thing. But he started this thing where you just go to the beach and other vets just started coming. Will Jones, Mario Morales, James Kirby, all these guys that locally just started to glom on. And then he started this organization called Ruck for Vets. And they do things. But that had to start with just him taking the step. And then him saying, okay, well, I got good people coming in here, and now he's the local VFW. He's got that going now, and so it just kind of builds. But it has to start, and he had to go ask for help because he's one man. And he's got his own life and career, and now he's built it into something. But it's taken years, and that's So what are you going to be doing anyway over the next few years? You might as well be building
Time's
something
going to
good.
pass.
It's going to pass anyway.
All the time's going to pass. It's whether
right,
you're
man.
miserable or whether you feel good, it's going to pass. And one sucks a lot more than the other.
That's right, bro. That's right.
That I like. Can you? Hopefully offline you can set me up with that guy, because I've just what you were describing. I've got a project that he might be interested in.
100%, man. Yeah.
So, but it's all about networking and setting guys. And just like I said, that the time, all this time is going to pass. And we, people say you get a year and you get a dash and then you get another year. Well, you can move that last year around based on your lifestyle and I mean, if you're miserable, it's going to keep going down. That number will keep going down.
That's right. That's right.
If you're doing the best, because you don't know when you're going to go, but God, I mean, and hopefully I can do some good.
Well, hey, look, Nick, man, I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this, man. I'll link, like I said, Green Beret Foundation I already follow, but I'll link it up. Anything you want to push out, keep me posted, and we'll do that as well. But yeah, I appreciate the time, man. I appreciate you sharing your experience with me, man, and with everybody. And like you said, if you can help one or all, that's great. But I'll start with one, and we'll work out from there, man. And then
Yeah, like I said, it all starts with one. And what did Admiral McRaven says? Always make your bed. The first,
That's right.
Get up and make your bed. For me, it's let me just get my feet out of the bed and onto the ground. And when it's dark and it's cold out or it's hot out, just get your ass out of bed go do something. You don't have to go kill it and work out. You don't have to go kill it today. Go for a walk. Do some air squats. Get out, get up, and get things going, and work on your projects and yourself, and everything will start to change around you. And that's what I'm forcing myself to do. Like I said, being here, talking to you, and the more I can book appointments and the more I can do, the more I won't let myself down, and
right.
hopefully can be better going forward. But yeah,
awesome. Awesome. All right, Nick. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. All the best, and let's just keep touching base and keep checking in, man. And this time next year, you'll be working on your golf. You'll be putting the golf tournament on.
Yeah, I'll be super stressed out running a golf outing. Yeah.
That's all right, man. Yeah. Hey, what are you going to be doing anyway, right? So you might as well be stressed out doing something positive, man.
Well, you start, you get into these planning things, and you go, oh, how can we make it better? Yeah, probably by putting more stress on myself. So.
All right, man. Well, hey, great talking to you, Nick, man, and thanks again for your time, man.
And last thing is like I said earlier, everybody's problems are just as important to them as yours are to you. Anybody can reach out to me anytime, and they can find me. You'll have my stuff up online. Anybody can reach out to me and everything, because, like I said, my friend passed away July 6th, and
what was his name?
His name was Fred Somerville.
Okay.
And very traumatic that happened in my life and to a lot of my friends, and he just didn't want to do it anymore. So, but as I said in the last Facebook post I made, the guys showed up. One dude flew in from Japan to be we were all pallbearers. I flew in from here. Another very good friend of mine was there, and until I no longer walk this earth, I'm just a phone call away. And that's what our responsibility as veterans, as friends, should be. Call me, text your friends, take your phone out of your pocket and call your buddies. And that if that's the thing that I can put out today, I can say, be there. So,
fair enough. Well said, man.
So,
well said.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's truly an honor to be here today. Thank you.
My honor's all mine, dude. Appreciate the time, man.
Thank you, sir.